Okay, but like, really, how many times have you been scrolling through like Instagram or whatever, and suddenly everyone's an expert on this new stock or like some crypto with a weird name you can barely pronounce?
It's like everyone's found the get-rich-quick scheme overnight.
Right. And it's like this instant FOMO, like, oh man, am I missing out on something huge here?
It's that fear of missing out, that
Yeah.
allure of easy money, that makes these trendy investments so tempting in the first place.
Totally. But that's why we're doing this deep dive, right? To like figure out which of these shiny investments are actually worth our time and money.
Exactly. We're talking about those investments that might seem like a sure thing, but could actually be what we call investment traps, things that glitter but might leave you burned.
Okay, so let's talk about why these trendy investments are so appealing. Like Bitcoin, for example. It went from like 0 to 60 in what felt like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, one minute it's this niche thing for tech people, and then
Right.
suddenly everyone and their grandma is talking about buying Bitcoin.
And then you add in social media and it's like, forget about it. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. Suddenly your entire feed is people showing off their NFTs or like whatever the hot new crypto is.
It's tough to resist, right? Seeing those stories of people making a killing, it's almost intoxicating.
Totally. But here's the thing. All that hype can lead to something called overvaluation, which basically means the price is way higher than what it's actually worth. And that's where things can get dangerous.
The classic bubble territory. We've all heard the horror stories about the dot-com bubble,
Oh
right?
yeah, were there companies that like didn't even have a real product and they were worth like billions?
Way too many. And the crazy thing is, research shows that over half of those dot-com companies that went public in the late 90s just vanished a few years later.
Seriously, like poof, gone.
Gone. Billions of dollars up in smoke. It's a stark reminder that hype doesn't equal lasting value.
Okay, so we've got trendy investments, we've got social media hyping them up, and the potential for these crazy price bubbles. But it's not just about like charts and numbers, right? There's this whole emotional side to investing too, right?
Absolutely. Investing isn't just about the numbers, it's about understanding human behavior.
Mhm.
Because we're emotional creatures, even when we think we're being totally rational.
Oh, tell me about it. Like, I'm the queen of impulse buys. I'll be online shopping and it's like, ooh, limited time offer. Next thing I know, I've bought 3 pairs of shoes I definitely don't need.
Right, and that's just shoes.
Right.
Imagine how much stronger those impulses are when you're dealing with your hard-earned cash.
So how do we make sure those emotions aren't like totally hijacking our investment decisions?
That's what we're going to dig into. Because understanding the psychology of investing, well, it's critical if you want to avoid getting played by those emotions.
So we've got all these emotions swirling around when we're thinking about investing. Like, where do we even start? What are the big ones we need to watch out for?
Well, you know that FOMO we were talking about, that fear of missing out. That's a big one. Seriously, it can really mess with your head.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like everyone's piling into this new crypto, so I have to get in on that too, right?
It's easy to get caught up in the hype, like, oh, this is my chance to get rich quick, gotta get in before it's too late.
Hmm.
But, a lot of times, those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities end up being more like, well,
Yeah, more like once in a lifetime regrets.
exactly. And then there's this other thing. It's like this, it's this herd mentality. We're social creatures, we follow the crowd,
Oh, totally. Like if everyone's going to this one restaurant, it must be good, right?
right? But when it comes to investing, following the crowd, well, it can be a recipe for disaster. Because what if those people in line, like, what if they don't actually know what they're doing either?
Oh, wow. Okay, so you've got the fear of missing out, you've got everyone else doing it. What other emotional traps are lurking out there?
Oh, and we can't forget those classic emotional roller coasters. Greed and fear. Like greed that gets us chasing those huge returns, even if there are some red flags. We see dollar signs and whoosh, common sense goes out the window.
And then when the market dips, boom, fear takes over. And we make these like panic decisions that we totally regret later.
It's a vicious cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Greed sucks us in, fear chases us out, and all the while we're letting our emotions call the shots, not, logic and reason.
It's like we're trying to drive with our eyes closed.
Pretty much. That's why so many people fall into these traps. So how do you avoid these pitfalls?
Yeah, how do we like tame these financial beasts?
It's all about knowing your enemy, right?
Yeah.
We need to be able to spot these traps.
Okay, so like how do we avoid those traps? How do we actually get better at making smarter decisions with our money?
Think of it like, getting better at anything else. Practice. Having the right tools. And the first tool is, well, research. actually doing your homework.
So, like, not just relying on, random tips I see on Twitter.
Maybe not the most reliable source, no. It's easy to get, like, caught up in the hype. But remember, social media is all about the highlight reel, right? It's not the full picture.
Right. So much for getting rich quick.
It takes time. You got to do the work. Look at credible sources. Read financial news. Look at analyst reports.
Oh, man, that sounds kind of boring.
Well, it's not as fun as, like, watching a TikTok, but it's way more likely to protect your money. And hey, if it feels overwhelming, you can always talk to a financial advisor.
Yeah, a good advisor could probably save me from myself.
Exactly.
Uh,
Now, another tool, you want to think about diversification. Think about it like this. You wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket.
okay. That's like investing 101, right?
It is, but you'd be surprised how many people forget this. Don't just, like, go all in on one stock because you saw it on Reddit. Spread your investments around a bit.
Different baskets for different eggs.
Exactly. And speaking of having a plan, let's talk about the most important tool, figuring out your investment goals.
Oh, right. It's easy to get caught up in like, ooh, shiny investment, but I need to remember why I'm investing in the first place.
Exactly. Like, what are you hoping to achieve? Are you saving for retirement, a down payment, early retirement so you can travel the world?
That last one sounds pretty good right now.
Right. But my point is, when you've got that clear why, you're less likely to get distracted by every shiny object that comes along.
You're like immune to the hype.
Exactly. And you're making decisions that actually get you closer to, that trip around the world or whatever your goal is.
Okay, so much to think about, but this has been super helpful. Any final words of wisdom as we wrap up?
Just remember, investing, it shouldn't be scary. It's about making your money work for you. So do your research, think about those goals, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
Great advice to end on. It's been awesome chatting with you.
It's been a pleasure.